There's this thing I've noticed about truly great companies. They're not built by committees. They're not built by consensus. They're built by individuals who see the world differently and have the courage to impose their vision on reality. And if you want to understand how to build something that matters, you need to study the people who've actually done it. Today, I want to talk about Elon Musk's operating system. Not his companies, not his products, but his system. The way he thinks, the way he decides, the way he hires, the way he executes. Because here's the thing. Most people think success is about luck or timing or being in the right place. But when you study someone like Musk, you realize it's actually about having a clearer, more rigorous way of processing reality. It's about principles. So let's break down his operating system. 1. First principles thinking. Most people think by analogy. What does that mean? It means they look at how things have always been done, and they do it that way too. They follow the path that's already been cleared. Elon doesn't do that. He uses something called first principles thinking, and it's the foundation of his entire operating system. Here's how it works. Instead of accepting what everyone believes, you break a problem down to the most basic truths, the things you know are true, and then you build up from there. Let me give you an example. When Elon started SpaceX, everyone told him the same thing. Rockets are too expensive. You can't make space travel affordable. It's impossible. So what did he do? He asked a different question. What is a rocket made of? The answer, aluminum alloys, titanium, copper, carbon fiber, basic materials. And when he looked at the raw material costs, he found something shocking. The materials for a rocket only cost about 2% of the typical rocket price. 2%. So where was all the money going? Inefficiency, bureaucracy, doing things the way they'd always been done. That's when Elon decided to build rockets from scratch. Not because it was easy, but because the physics said it was possible. See, most people would have stopped at rockets are expensive. Elon went deeper. He asked, why are they expensive? And does it have to be that way? That's first principles thinking. And it applies to everything. When Tesla needed batteries, Elon didn't just accept the market price. He broke it down. What are batteries made of? Cobalt, nickel, aluminum, carbon. What do those materials cost on the commodities market? And then he figured out how to build batteries for less. This is the first piece of his operating system. Question everything. Start from the truth, not from what people say. Number 2, rapid iteration. Okay, so you've got first principles. You understand the problem at its core. Now what? Most people plan, they strategize, they wait until everything is perfect. Elon does the opposite. He moves fast, and he's not afraid to fail. There's a story I love about SpaceX. In the early days, they had 3 rocket launches. All 3 failed. The company was almost bankrupt. Elon had one last rocket, one last shot. And you know what? It worked. But here's the thing. Those first 3 failures weren't wasted. Each failure taught them something. Each explosion revealed a flaw they could fix. Elon calls this rapid iteration. Build something, test it, learn from it, build it better. He doesn't sit in a room theorizing for years. He builds, tests, breaks, and rebuilds. Over and over. At Tesla, they don't wait for the perfect car. They ship a version, get feedback, and improve it with software updates. The car literally gets better after you buy it. Think about that. Your car improves while it's sitting in your driveway. That's only possible if you're willing to iterate, to be wrong, to learn in public. Most companies are terrified of failure. Elon has built his entire system around it. Fail fast, learn faster. That's the second piece. Action beats perfection. Move fast, learn, and improve. Number 3, hiring for mission. Now let's talk about people, because none of this works if you don't have the right team. And Elon's hiring philosophy is completely different from what you'd expect. He doesn't care about your resume. He doesn't care where you went to school. He doesn't even care if you went to school. He cares about one thing. Can you solve problems? There's a famous interview technique he uses. He asks candidates, tell me about the most difficult problem you've ever solved and how you solved it. And then he listens. Not for buzzwords, not for credentials. He listens to see if you actually understand the problem at a deep level. Because here's what Elon knows. If you solve the problem yourself, you can explain it simply. You can walk through your thinking. You can describe the dead ends, the breakthroughs, the details.
If you didn't solve it, if you were just near it, you'll talk in generalities. You'll use jargon. You'll sound impressive but say nothing. Elon can tell the difference in about 30 seconds. He's also looking for something else: mission alignment. He wants people who care about the mission as much as he does. People who want to make humanity a multi-planetary species. People who want to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. If you just want a paycheck, you won't last at Tesla or SpaceX. The hours are brutal, the expectations are insane. But if you believe in the mission, you'll work harder than you ever thought possible. That's the third piece. Hire for problem-solving ability and mission, not credentials. Number 4, extreme accountability. Now here's where it gets intense. Elon doesn't just expect great work, he demands it. And he holds everyone accountable, including himself. There's a story about Tesla's Model 3 production. They called it production hell. The company was supposed to be making thousands of cars a week, but they couldn't get the assembly line right. So what did Elon do? He slept at the factory. Not in an office, on the production floor, in a sleeping bag. Why? Because he needed to see every problem in real time. He needed to be there when a machine broke down at 3 a.m. He needed to feel what his team was going through. That's accountability. And he expects the same from everyone. If there's a problem, you don't hide it. You don't sugarcoat it. You bring it to the surface and you fix it. There's no room for politics, no room for excuses, just results. Now, I'm not saying this works for everyone. Some people find it too harsh, too demanding, but here's what I respect. Elon doesn't ask anyone to do something he wouldn't do himself. When SpaceX was struggling, he put his own money on the line. When Tesla was weeks from bankruptcy, he slept at the factory. He doesn't lead from a boardroom. He leads from the trenches. That's accountability at every level. No excuses, just results. Number 5, long-term thinking. Now here's the interesting part. Despite all this speed, all this iteration, all this intensity, Elon is playing a long game. Most CEOs think in quarters. What are the earnings this quarter? What's the stock price today? Elon thinks in decades. He doesn't care if Tesla loses money for years, as long as they're advancing the mission. He doesn't care if people mock SpaceX, as long as they're getting closer to Mars. When everyone said electric cars would never work, he kept building. When everyone said you couldn't reuse rockets, he kept trying. And now, Tesla is the most valuable car company in the world. SpaceX is the only company regularly sending astronauts to space. That doesn't happen if you're optimizing for the next quarter. Elon is optimizing for the next century. He's asking, what does humanity need? What's the biggest problem we face? And what am I uniquely positioned to solve? For him, it's sustainable energy and becoming a multi-planetary species. Everything else is just noise. That's the 5th piece, long-term thinking. Optimize for the mission, not the moment.
6, simplicity and focus. Let me tell you something I learned from Steve Jobs when he was building Apple. Complexity is easy. Simplicity is hard. Any engineer can add features. It takes a great engineer to take them away. Elon understands this deeply. At SpaceX, there's a famous rule. Every part on a rocket should have a name and a purpose. If you can't explain why it's there, it shouldn't be there. They've removed thousands of parts over the years, not because they were broken, but because they were unnecessary. And every part you remove makes the rocket lighter, cheaper, and more reliable. The same applies to decision-making. Elon cuts through complexity by asking simple questions. What's the goal? What's the fastest path to the goal? What can we remove? He's not interested in 100-slide presentations. He's not interested in endless meetings. He wants clarity. He wants focus. There's a story about a meeting at Tesla where someone presented a complex plan with dozens of steps. Elon listened for about 60 seconds, then said, "What if we just do this?" And he proposed something so simple, so obvious, that everyone wondered why they hadn't thought of it first. That's the power of simplicity. Most people confuse complexity with intelligence. They think the more complicated something is, the smarter it must be. Elon knows the opposite is true. The simpler you can make something, the more you actually understand it. That's the 6th piece. Simplify ruthlessly. Remove everything that doesn't serve the mission. The operating system. So let's bring it all together. Elon Musk's operating system isn't magic. It's not something only geniuses can use. It's a set of principles. 1, think from first principles. Question everything, start from the truth. 2. Move fast. Iterate rapidly. Don't wait for perfection. 3. Hire for problem solving and mission, not credentials. 4. Hold everyone accountable. Lead from the front. 5. Think long term. Optimize for decades, not quarters. 6. Simplify. Remove complexity. Focus on what matters. Now, you don't have to build rockets or electric cars to use this. Maybe you're starting a small business. Maybe you're working on a school project. Maybe you're just trying to solve a problem in your own life. These principles work at any scale. Start by asking, what's actually true here? What's the real problem? Then move. Don't overthink it. Test your idea, learn from what doesn't work. Surround yourself with people who care about the same things you care about. Hold yourself accountable. Don't make excuses. Think long term. What do you want to be true 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And cut away everything that doesn't matter. Because here's what I've learned after decades of building things. Success isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things in the right way for the right reasons. Elon figured out his operating system. Now it's time to figure out yours. Thanks for listening. Now go build something that matters.